This video is not made for kids. It is for older fans of the show and adults only. Now shut your fucking faces and enjoy the fucking video, you fuckers. At a single 24-hour period, Thomas found himself in waiting at the railway junction as the process of Gordon arriving with railway freight wagons was executed.
I say, this odor is most unpleasant and an assault on my senses. Are you by any chance sensing the odor that I am?
I do not sense such an odor of which you state that you sense.
I would sum it up as an odor of mustiness that is strangely unpleasant and foul.
Of no person took regard to such an odor until you took regard of such a supposed odor, so it therefore is an odor of your possession.
Annie. Clarabelle. If you were to assume my assumptions on what the source of the odor is, it is water from a dirty and muddy body of water known as a ditch.
In the time ahead of Gordon having a chance to answer back at Thomas, he had vacated himself from the station vicinity.
I am finding this amusing to the highest degree, and I am therefore laughing to myself over this charade.
Annie and Clarabelle were in a state of deep incredulity. Gordon the Big Engine was an engine that they both held in such high regard. Thomas in the moment departed himself from the railway carriages and was en route towards an earthworking known as a mine for some freight wagons. In times gone by, workers who worked in the mines in excavation for the element plumbum had left underground passages in their wake. These underground passages were sufficient in fortitude to contain the weight of freight wagons. On the contrary, they had no such ability to handle railway locomotives.
I find the presence of this wooden notice board to be a farce.
Thomas had made many attempts to force his way past the board, but with limited success. However, in this morning, he had concocted an operation. He was going to execute the shunting maneuver of taking empty wagons from a single railway siding and from another take out loaded wagons.
Thomas, proceed with the shunting maneuver operation.
Thomas, locomotive driver, positioned his body to where his eyes had sufficient visibility of where they would be going.
At this moment, my plan is being put in operation. I find myself in rejoicing, as I am now following the freight wagons into the unauthorized siding. There is absolutely zero chance of anything dangerous happening here.
Thomas, pay attention to your surroundings and return back here at this moment.
Flame particles and smoke particles, I find myself unable to move.
Thomas's vision was enough to see out from the mine hole, but he wasn't able to carry out a movement.
I find myself in a pitiful state, as I have misjudged this situation gravely.
And you are, in fact, a very badly behaved railway locomotive. I witnessed your actions here.
I request to be removed from this hole, and will not push past my luck again.
I myself am not in a state of mind to be certain. This ground here is unsuitable for use by any lifting apparatus. In this case, the best option in this situation is to give Gordon a chance.
I understand, however I do not wish to meet Gordon at this moment in time.
Is it true that Thomas has found his way into a collapsed mine shaft? I find myself laughing at such a preposterous situation. We will remove you from this hole in a couple of puffs.
Cables of high-level strength were fastened between Thomas and Gordon in order to get Thomas out from the hole.
On the moment I give the command, you are to heave. Heave!
It was much more of a difficult operation than they had all anticipated, but at last, Thomas was removed from the collapsed mine shaft.
I apologize wholeheartedly for my insolence towards you.
I do not take any offense. On the contrary, you happen to make me laugh. I am not in a position of high worthiness at this moment. On the contrary, I am in a state of low worthiness.
As a matter of fact, I am on an equal level of unworthiness.
Indeed, it is indisputable. May I propose that we form an alliance?
Pardon me, but may I ask you to define what that is?
An alliance, Thomas. A suitable definition would be united we stand, together we fall.
I am in 100% agreement with you.
Consider the matter settled.
And buffer to buffer, both parties of the newly formed alliance made their way back to their sheds. Now, TB76, where is my fucking paycheck, you piece of shit? Give me it now. Now.